We are back with Week 1 Waiver Wire Must Add Players 2.0, and we have some wonderful names like Shane Baz and Jordan Walker, who have both been off to a hot start. Those names and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Adney, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Adney. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us as well. And lastly, but what's truly most important to Matt and I and to you guys, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth, personalized experience through text messaging alerts that are going right to your phone, offering so much more in these 30-minute episodes, including, the 10 names today. We're going to have them ranked for you, have a little bit of extra detail on them. You're going to get those instant call-up notifications on the top prospects like Roman Anthony and Andrew Painter when they get called up. Nobody else in the industry is offering those text messaging alerts right to your phone like we are. So give us a chance on the Subtext platform. The link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And all right, Matt, today's a great episode. Got a lot of great names. Going to do a quick honorable mention because we got to talk about him. I got the Cardinals hat on for a reason. Quick little love for my boy Ivan Herrera. If you listen to the podcast, you may have heard me talk about him once or twice in the offseason. I have him on almost all my teams. Shout out if you believed in me and Ivan Herrera and you got him on your teams. If he's available in your leagues, he also is a must-add. But Matt, somebody else really was fantastic in their first start, and we got to talk about him. So Matt, my friend, let's do it.
All right, by all means, these 10 must-add players. As here, we're going to start off with Shane Baz of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, I don't know if you watched the podcast at all, you kind of saw that in every single mock draft, I kind of walked away with Baz because I saw this coming. Look, guy always had all the talent in the world. It was just a matter of health. And the price was too good to get passed up. He's going as your pitcher 6 in most leagues, pitcher 7. And the output could truly look just like this almost every other week, like he did just last night. 6 innings, 10 Ks, no earned runs, and a whip of 116. He looked absolutely dominant out there. Pitches were moving and grooving exactly how you would expect it. Fastball was averaging about 97 miles an hour. His xERA was a 2.01. It was just fantastic. Getting great movement on his breaking ball and his off-speed pitches, was creating whiffs, getting the Ks, not walking dudes, and not allowing guys to barrel. The only thing that I wish he would just not give up is the average exit velocity of 95.5. That one's going to hurt, especially playing up in that smaller AAA park. But man, did he really just bring it home. Leaned on that curveball the other day, threw that 34% of the time, and that was going to 83 miles an hour and had a put away of 47%. Then that four-seam fastball, which he also threw 32% of the time, just absolutely monstrous and just like looking like, hey, I'm just going to blow people away. But that curveball is absolutely filthy. And that slider was absolutely unhittable. The changeup was unhittable. He's just looking like a beast. He was putting away guys like crazy. Shane Baz, this could be the guy this year that the pitcher pickup is the one for the year. So he's out there in, I don't have his actual ownership percentage, but I will.
53% of leagues on Yahoo.
So that means 47% of those leagues, you need to go out there and add him. Look, if he's not 100% owned, we're doing something wrong. Get him now every league humanly possible. Pause the podcast, go, because Shane Baz is that difference maker this year if he could just stay healthy.
Yeah, Matt, I'm with you 1,000%. Matt mentioned at the top we were taking him in every mock draft. Matt and I had him, ranked in like the 40s at least. And everywhere else, I want to say he was going in the 70s when we're talking about starting pitchers. So Matt and I identified it. He's great when he's healthy. Even last year, it speaks volumes about how good he can be when he's healthy. Last year, 14 starts for Baz, 3.06 ERA, 79 innings, 69 strikeouts, and a 105 whip. Obviously, he showed in his first start here that, Baz can get them strikeouts, so he can obviously be over a K per 9 kind of guy. I love Shane Baz. Go pick him up right now. Matt, as you said, should be universally owned, but Matt, you broke him down really well, so I don't really have too much else to add here. Let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about Jordan Hicks. Tough year for him as he went over to, the Giants last year. They transitioned him back to a starter, earlier in Hicks's career. The Cardinals always wanted him to really start. Never really worked out, closed for a little bit. Really always been a control type of things with Hicks because he throws so hard, never was really able to put it in the right spots. All right, first start this year, though, with Hicks, with those Giants, once again, 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, didn't give up a run, 0.5 whip. He got the win. His next start's against Seattle, not a bad opponent to go up against. They're hitting a little bit over there, them boys, but you really just get past Julio and Raleigh, and there's not really too much else in that lineup that you have to be worried about. Hicks is 14% owned. Damn, that he's out there in a lot of leagues right now. Even in those shallower leagues, he's definitely somebody you could add to the end of your bench if you have like a Nestor Cortez or, another pitcher that you drafted at the end of, the end of your roster that's been getting rocked. Definitely interested in Hicks if he has the control figured out. He's another guy that could be definitely well over that K per 9. The control, I know he's giving trouble, so he might be like a over 1.2 whip kind of guy, but they can give you the strikeouts. Wins might be I think the ERA could be good if he's getting them strikeouts. Could be mid-3s ERA kind of guy. So while he's out there, Hicks should be a guy 14% owned right now. I'd say maybe 40% owned sounds about right. 35% owned sounds about right for a guy like Jordan Hicks. If he has another good couple of starts, we're going to put that up, of course. But go out there and add him while you can, especially in those shallow leagues.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what? He's definitely an interesting head if he could kind of bring it all together. Hey, so it's really all I can say on Jordan Hicks. He did a great job. I'm going to move on to Kris Bubic of the Kansas City Royals. And Bubic over here had a really nice start. Hasn't actually had a start since 2023 and only started about 3 games before going down. It looks like injury. I don't have that up front, but he only pitched about 16 innings. Last year, he didn't start a single game, but pitched about 30 innings and had a nice 2.67 ERA to 39 strikeouts and a whip of 102. This year, they're rolling him out there as a starter, which is interesting. And you know what? I'm not opposed to it if he can pitch like this every night. 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, an ERA of none, and a .833, whip. I mean, I'm not mad at that at all. Bubic went out and said, hey, I'm here. I'm going to start this game. We'll see what happens. Don't know if he gets another start. Looks like they might use him as him, but the matchup probably isn't the greatest. It's going to come either against it's probably going to come against the Orioles over the weekend. If he does, started on the 31st, which is Monday. So, it's probably going to come Saturday or Sunday if he does get that nod. So we'll see what happens. I don't really feel great about the ad, but possibly for next week if he goes out and has another good start. Other than that, it's just, we'll see what he's got as a starter. His starter career isn't really the best track record, 5.58 ERA, a 4.43 ERA, 4.32 ERA. And, I don't think he's a long-term solution, but the right matchup, or if he could prove he can do 2 nice starts against another great opponent, might change my mind a little bit. So he's just a name to kind of keep out in a pinch where you just need Ks. He's definitely an ad.
Yeah, Kris Bubic is interesting. He when he was coming up back in the day, he was, he had some hype around him, as a starting pitching prospect, and has never lived up to the hype, as Matt mentioned in his career. He moved into the bullpen last year, had some success. So, as Matt said, it is a little bit interesting to, see him, come back to the starting rotation, after being successful in the bullpen last year. He was really good in his first start. I'll say this, as you look at the repertoire and what he threw in that first start, that slider was, a great pitch for him, and he threw it about 12% of the time. Last year, he threw 1 slider all of last year. So if that slider is, that off pitch, that pitch is that's going to be a strikeout pitch for Bubic, He could be pretty interesting. Right now, more of a deeper league cut, 24% owned on Yahoo, a little bit more than Hicks, which is surprising to me. People probably still remember the little bit of pedigree, that Bubic had when he was coming up. Let's see what they can do. The Royals are pretty good with starting pitchers. Look what they did with Cole Reagans. I think maybe they're working that slider in there. Maybe he's working with Reagans. Who knows? But he's only 27 years old. There is upside here. So I'd say this: if he's still rock and rolling, a couple more starts, might be a must add everywhere. Keep your eyes on him. You're in AL only's deeper leagues. He's probably an ad right now. You probably got somebody on the end of your bench who's underperforming that you could cut for him. So I would go ahead and make that move in deeper leagues. Anything shallower than like a 12-man and shallower, I'm probably not making that move right now, but I'm definitely throwing him on the watch list. But guys, we have such more great names. We got a couple of closers. We talked about Jordan Walker. We got those names and more coming up next.
Okay. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. And that's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers NSF certified line of protein powders, electrolytes, pre-workouts, and creatines, all rigorously tested to ensure free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their organization. Just Ingredients has also has an NFS certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. Clean and transparent ingredients. I love that's Just Ingredients, prioritizing wholesome, nourishing ingredients without artificial junk. Fueling performance, whether you're into recovery after workouts, or need energy to boost, their grass-fed whey protein or pre-workout delivers real results. Visit justingredients.us and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20, 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow Just Ingredients at Instagram. Okay. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shell variety, which I truly do. It's perfect for grab and go, going for a busy day, whether I'm snacking at my desk on a road trip. Just need a quick protein boost because I got kids, and you got kids, you're never sitting down. There's always just good to go, right? And I love cracking into a shell, just a satisfying crunch. The in-shell option is a classic favorite, especially when I'm sitting at the bar. It's wonderful. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Okay. And guys, look, you need to get that edge this season. There's only one way to do it, and that is with the subtext and becoming a member of the Diamond Club. Look, you want to get prospect call-ups. You want to know who to prioritize off this waiver list. You want to ask questions and see if you're getting ripped off in a trade. The only way to do that is to join the subtext and, be able to ask those questions. Look, we're here for you, but we only have 30 minutes a day. Why not get a little bit more out of it? It's a minimal cost, and quite honestly, it's going to put you above your league mates. So join Subtext today. Links in the description below. So, Dom, I've talked way too much. My reading comprehension skills are probably about third grade, and my head hurts. So please go ahead and take this away.
Yeah, I got you, my brother. Let's jump in with some closers here, right? And let's talk about Luke Jackson. Interesting name here, right? He's closing for those Texas Rangers. He goes out there after having a very good spring training, I mind you. He goes out there in the first game and he gets rocked, And then I'll be honest with you, I had him, still have him actually, thankfully, on a couple of teams, and I even I'll give you guys a little behind the curtains insight. Matt and I have him in the listener league, so I texted Matt after he got that first blown save. I think Luke Jackson was our last pick. So I was like, all right, let's drop him. Really wasn't anybody out there that we liked. Came back the next day, got the clean save. So all right, we'll hold. Comes back a couple of days later, gets his second save. And guess what? Today, as we're recording, he got his third save in a row. And all clean saves. No earned runs in any of those. It's going to take a little while for the ERA and the whip to look right. You go look at him right now, you see an 11.5 ERA and a 2.1 whip, but the guy's only pitched 3.1 innings. So it's going to look ugly for a little bit. But 38% owned on Yahoo. Luke Jackson, once again, closing for those Texas Rangers is who we're talking about. I like him. He's not going to be the answer. He's not going to be, a great closer all year long. I'll say this. He might close for a while. He might get rocked here and there. He's going to be a guy that you might be able to throw into a trade or, something like that. I don't think you're going to have him all year long. I'll say that to you. But he looks like he's the favorite. It's cool to see that they throw him back out there after getting rocked in the first game that he appeared in. And then they say, hey, listen, we're going to rock with you. And then he throws out 3 clean saves in a row. So Luke Jackson's an ad, not my favorite, but there's not too many great closer options out there at the moment. So Luke Jackson is somebody you could grab, widely available. Once again, he's not going to be amazing, but he'll get you some saves.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's well said. I mean, the team's going to win some games. And quite honestly, I want a piece of it wholeheartedly. I mean, who's going to say no to good saves and on a good team? It's very rare that it even comes up on the waiver wire. So 100% do not pass on that. But let's move on. Let's talk about another closer, Dennis Santana. Honestly, Bednar got sent down, but I don't know how much better Santana is going to be in comparison to Bednar. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Pirates feel that is an upgrade. It is what it is. Last year he posted a wonderful 3.89 ERA through 71 innings. So, yeah, that's great, man. Good job. You did absolutely terrible in terms of being a relief pitcher. 69 strikeouts, a whip of 108. Not my favorite closer numbers so far this year. Picked up right where he left off. 3.86 ERA through 2 innings. 3 strikeouts. Doesn't even have a save, it looks like, yet on the year. So it is what it is with a whip of 1.7. So he's there only because of the fact that, quite honestly, look, there's a closer out on the waiver wires that's getting saves, and there's nobody that seems to be able to get in his way right now. So let's just pick him up and see what our RP3 is or RP4 option is. And if he gets blown up a couple more times, we're going to dump him just as fast as the Pirates are, and we'll move on to the next one until we find one that works. So Dennis Santana is just somebody that needs to be added if you need the saves and just can risk it with the ERA and whip getting blown up, because at least there's the ability to go out and get a save, and he seems to stay per a K per inning. So I'm not really mad at that either.
Yeah, man, it looks like he got the save today. Once again, as we're recording here on April 2nd. Clean save, too, for Santana, by the way. I'll throw that out there. 10% owned on Yahoo if you need him. If Luke Jackson's not available, if you waited on closers and you don't really have an option, yeah, he's out there. Matt, you broke him down really well. I don't have too much to add on Dennis Santana besides he's out there if you need the saves. Not going to be great results all the time, I don't think, though. Let's move on. Let's sneak in a hitter. Let's sneak in a hitter real quick. Let's start off with Lars Nootbaar. And, man, am I happy to be talking about him, the candy man himself. He's back. He's hitting. Honestly, this Cardinals team as a whole is, starting to look a little bit better, at least from a fantasy standpoint, that is. Nootbaar is 8% owned and off to a hot start. 8 for 19, which is a .421 batting average, 6 runs, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. He's been hitting leadoff in that Cardinals lineup. Honestly, has had a multi-hit game in every game except one this season. Love to see that. He's always been not want to say a high-end prospect, but he's a name that gets brought up in the prospect community. Has power, has speed. He's going to get a lot of runs if he continues to hit leadoff and have success like this in that Cardinals lineup. Hasn't even stolen a bag yet. So this is a guy you're talking about 2020 kind of upside, 90 plus runs upside, could hit you 260, 270 plus. And if he's hitting like this, hey, there's even more upside than that, but I'm not going to hold him to anything more than like 270-ish. Honestly, really a must add right now, especially at like outfield is like thin. He should be honestly probably 80% owned, I'd say, at least.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that likes to hang out with Kris Bryant. I think they all see the same doctor. If you can't tell, I've moved off Alberto Mondesi, and it's just Kris Bryant now. When he's good, he's out. When he's out there, he's good, and when he's not, he's on your IL,
He's
and it's
hurt.
really unfortunate. Yeah. Dude even got some wheels. Like, I like Nootbaar as a player. I just wish that the guy would just figure out, maybe there's this thing called nutritionist, maybe a stretch coach, maybe, something along those lines that can maybe kind of fix things. But,
Right, you got the haterade over there? You sipping on the haterade today over there?
I finished it before you even started talking.
There you go. That's what it is. That's what it is.
So, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, Lars Nootbaar, while he's healthy, I'm going to add him. I'm going to ride the wave. And the second I start seeing him whip out his insurance card, that's when I know he's about to hit the IL. So, yeah. But coming up next, we got names like Jordan Walker, Maikel Garcia, and more on how to maybe navigate this and who we're prioritizing off this waivers coming up next.
Have you ever checked your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Guys, all the time. But dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. Guys, when I first started using Monarch Money, their surprise insights really helped me out. I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, and guys, it's always too much. But with Monarch Money, it helps me manage my money smarter and save more. And with their easy collaboration, managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all that stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, Matt, I think you're going to be a little bit more excited about this guy. Maybe the haterade's wearing off a little bit. Let's talk about your boy, Matt. Let's talk about Jordan Walker.
Yeah, I am excited. I'm encouraged. I'm not getting overly hyped up. We're like, oh my God, we're just like 3 years too late. Like, no. He was a top prospect at one point.
He was.
And the first year wasn't bad. After he got set down and came back up, he fixed it, the ground ball issue at least. But, just last year was an absolute fallout. And just like, oh my God, did the nuclear warfare happen with his career? We'll see. But ultimately, this year so far through 4 games, 14 at bats, 2 runs, a bomb, 2 ribs, a stolen base. Got caught stealing twice, which not good for points leagues, but still 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, batting .429, an OBP of 529, a slug of 643, and an OPS of 1172. He's also cranking the ball out with an average exit velocity of 92.3 miles per hour. X batting average sitting at 311, X WOBA sitting at 433. These are things that are great. His bat speed is killing it, creating hard contact at 41% of the time. Would love to see him barrel a little bit more, but at least he's not chasing. He's not really striking out, and he's walking. Those are all great things. Sprint speed, a little bit on the downside, but, I always thought he was a little bit faster than what he is, but it is what it is. So far, his max EV on the season also is about $117. So he's hitting the ball hard.
Yeah, about as hard as anyone could hit it.
Right. Like, Jordan Walker has the physical ability to be a power hitter. It's just a matter of, will it translate and will he be able to do it? In the minors, the dude always showed off. So this is kind of like my thing here. I'm going to add him and I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Jordan Walker, I'm going to drop you the second I start seeing you slump because I really don't care about you that much, but I'm intrigued enough where I will add you before somebody else does. And then I miss out on a player that could potentially really go off this season, and maybe we were just 3 years too late, and now maybe we're ready to buy in. Once I get out, they pull me back in type deal. But 13% owned is enough for me to say, hey, let's take a shot on them. You probably have guys that you probably pick much higher, like Dylan Cruz not performing, and you might have to hold off until he goes. And Jordan Walker might be a nice little, not replacement, but fill in until Cruz kind of figures it out.
Yeah, Matt. I think we're underselling Jordan Walker a little bit. He's still only 23 years old. And going into the 2023 season, it was a legit argument between who's better between Jordan Walker and Elly De La Cruz. It was a legit conversation about who was better between the two of them. Turns out Ellie De La Cruz is better. I mean, I don't think that's an argument anymore. But, Jordan Walker still can be really good. He's 23. Progression isn't always linear. That's my saying. I'm telling you, I'm going to put it on a shirt at some point. It's just not. And at 23 years old, there's still so much room for upside. Matt, you mentioned he got caught stealing twice, but still his sprint speed is in the 78th percentile. That's not slow. That's not slow at all for a big guy. I think he's 6'4", 250. Yeah, no, I'm underselling. It's like 6'6", 250. Mm-hmm. For a guy to be that fast at that size, almost the James Wood type build, a bigger guy that's a bit quicker. He's even bigger than James Wood. But he's a dude that could steal 20 bags, hit 30 home runs. I don't know about this year. Maybe it's this year, but he has that kind of upside. I definitely think we're going to see progression this year. Honestly, maybe not a must add in every league, but he should be way more than 13% roster like he is on Yahoo. Once again, a guy should be 30, 40% owned, maybe a little bit more, because this 13% owned says to me he's available in 5 outfielder leagues. He's available in leagues with deep benches. The guy's hitting. The Cardinals as a team are hitting. We talked about 3 Cardinals in this episode alone. Don't forget Ivan Herrera, who I mentioned at the top of the show. Pick him up too if he's available. 3 home runs today. That team is just clicking right now. So Jordan Walker, definitely somebody you need to look at. Maybe in shallower leagues like your 10, 8-man leagues like that, throw him on the watch list. 12-man leagues with deep benches, pick him up. I definitely think there's a world where he's going to be very, very useful this year. Let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about Maikel Garcia. I'll say this. I was kind of high on Maikel Garcia coming into the offseason. I kind of got talked out of him by the industry. The industry really didn't like him. They were highlighting certain things that they saw, and I was like, you know what? I see it. I get it. Off to a hot start this year, though. 353 average, 3 runs, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, and guess what? He hasn't stolen a bag yet, and that's the thing that he is the best at. Maikel Garcia is fast. He could steal a bunch of bags. Hitting in a weird spot in the lineup. Started off hitting 7th, moved to 9th, back to 8th. Hasn't played in every single game. He's missed 2 games. He's played in 5, so that's 5 out of 7 games he's played in this year. 39% owned on Yahoo, 2nd and 3rd base eligible. Like that eligibility for him. Once again, if he's got a little bit more pop in that bat, guy that could steal 30-ish bags. I like what Garcia brings to the table. If you need that middle corner infield, eligibility, which he has on Yahoo, I would go out and add him in leagues like that. If you're hurting at second base, if you lost to Josh Young, if you need steals, I would go and look Maikel Garcia away. Not a must add. I do like Walker and Nootbaar ahead of him. But, once again, maybe not so much for speed because Garcia can steal more bags than those guys. But, definitely not the worst option we're talking about today. So I do like me some Maikel Garcia.
Yeah, he's good for solo bases. That's about it. But yeah, everything you said is accurate for the short term. There's no long term, just like you said. So I mean, hey, ride the wave. That's all it is. That's all baseball is riding the wave. So just do it. Let's move on. I love the last name, Jacob Magnum.
Jake Magnum PI.
Yeah, like I wasn't going with Magnum. I was like a Trojan man, but sure. So I really don't know much about him other than he was a Tampa Bay Rays prospect that is now in the majors at age 29. Having a decent start off to the season, 11 at bats, 3 runs, 2 doubles, no bombs, 4 ribs though, 3 stolen bases, batting .636, OBP is 667, a slugger 818, and an OPS of 1485. Like those are good numbers for the first week. Like, hey, he's worth like a hot hand kind of type start, right? Let's add him. He's producing. He has had 20 stolen base seasons in the minors. So let's just take a look and kind of see like, okay, can we ride this out until he kind of falls off? Or, are you waiting for your Josh Lowe to come back, which hopefully that's something, or waiting for Dylan Cruz to perform or something, and you don't have the Jordan Walkers and the Nootbaars out on the waivers. He's an option to look at. He's by far none between the guy I'm targeting, but in a pinch, I might.
Yeah, as I'm looking at, Jake Magnum here, interesting profile, and they've moved him up to 3rd in the lineup here on April 3rd here today. He had 3rd in the lineup. Maybe, like Matt said, maybe not a long-term solution, but he's interesting. He's got a little bit of speed. If he's hitting in that spot in the lineup 3rd for that Tampa Bay team, he could have some RBIs. The runs have been there. I think it's a juice the orange type situation. I think Matt, who was why can't I think of his name? James Outman. Maybe it's a James Outman type situation where James Outman was super hot at the beginning of the year.
Magnum has a great name, but he's not as good as Outman.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't think he's on that level, but I'm just talking about
Trojan
Matt, you could even speak to it yourself. You were someone that a couple of years ago took advantage of that. You traded James Outman while he was hot, took advantage of that. I think this is a similar situation where people might be hurting for outfielders in deeper leagues. Even pick him up and just see where it goes. He's 7% owned on Yahoo, hitting 636 so far. Obviously, it's not going to keep up, but an interesting name. We'll sneak this last name in here, then we're going to get out of here. Let's talk about Ben Rice real quick with those New York Yankees. Man, that whole team is absolutely mashing right now, and Ben Rice has been a part of it. 4 runs, 2 homers, 2 RBIs, hitting 500 so far. Kid used to be a catcher. He's an absolute unit of a man. If you've never seen Ben Rice before, he's absolutely like diesel. Got a lot of muscles on him. He's got power. He's got power. He's got power.
Get to that chopper.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what? Have a little bit of Rice, and if you're gonna do it, make it Ben Rice because Uncle Ben. We'll call him Uncle Ben Rice over there. Like Uncle Ben's Rice. So definitely, he's an interesting guy. First base eligible. If you missed out on the Torkel Sands and the guys like that. Now, who else did we talk about the other day at first base that was absolutely mashing? Can't remember. I know we talked about Strand, even though he's hurt. If you missed out on all those guys, right? Ben Rice might be out there in those deeper leagues, those AL onlys. Like I said, if you need someone that's got powers and have some RBIs, maybe some runs, you could look his way.
Yeah, he's Joey Gallo light. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
But guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Do everything you can to share this show because we love bringing it to you every day. Share it with your friends and don't hoard the information because you're only as good as your competition. And when you're done, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB, who's giving you great MLB coverage and nothing to do with fantasy. With that being said, guys, peace out.
Yeah.